Hi, I'm here making some new apple trees to plant out this spring. This is a quick video of my bench grafting process. I have a more detailed video about the whole process and the whole thought process behind grafting your own apple trees on our channel. So please check that video out if that interests you. I got some scion wood, which is the fruiting wood from Fedco seed out of Maine. And this is what they send you, just a stick with vegetative buds on it. And then I ordered up some of my rootstock here. This is Bud 9. And I pull them out of the fridge. And I'm going to soak the scion wood. Just kind of get some moisture flowing. And then I'll cut maybe a 1/4 inch, just cut back because all this wood probably dried out throughout the winter and isn't real healthy. So I'll cut that back just a little bit and expose some of the green, nice green live wood. Live cambium, and I'll just soak that, get it wet. I don't know if that's all that necessary, but I think it probably helps get the juices flowing. And then I will find a good match. This is the hard part that I found with my grafting, is finding a good scion wood with good live vegetative buds that will match the size of rootstock that I get. I would say it's more on the scion end than the rootstock. The rootstock has come pretty dang uniform in size. This is what people call bench grafting, is when they graft a chunk of scion onto a bare rootstock. And I guess they call it bench grafting, I assume, because they do it on a workbench usually. But I'm just doing it in my garage, and I'm storing them here in potting mix. And there's a lot of other people that store it in other mediums, I guess, such like sawdust and other wet sand. I've heard some people store them because they don't want the roots to start to establish in that and then have to shock them and pull them out to replant them. But I'm going to just I think I can get away with keeping them in here for just a couple more weeks and then plant them out. And I'm watching the buds to make sure that the trees aren't really actively growing and coming back. It's about 40 or 50 degrees in here on average. And I'm leaving them in here. Another reason I'm leaving them in here is to let these grafts callus and heal. Callusing would mean healing of that graft union and make it stronger. So when I put them outside, there's a little bit more to it than just the tape holding that together. If we get a really windy day, I don't want them all to blow apart. So I'm going to do my first cut here. But first off, I match up to see where I'm intending to put this graft. And seeing as this is a pretty small chunk of wood, it's got to go up towards the top of this, which it is what it is. It's not ideal to have such small wood to graft with. It ideally would all be about this size, a 1/4 inch, but I think I can make this work anyway. That's why I'm going all the way down here. You try to find a nice straight chunk of wood to work with, about an inch and a half long, and I'm going to end up cutting that butt off, I think. I'd rather leave it, but I just need that thicker chunk of wood to match my rootstock. I got my single bevel knife, so it'll just bite in and go right through here. And you can see how cupped that is because of that bud there on the end. I think that's why that cupped like that. And I'm going to want to straighten that out so they can match. This might not have been an ideal piece to demonstrate with, but if I had bigger wood, I would make this cut longer, but this is what I'm working with. So that's why it's shorter than ideal. This just kind of joins the two cambium layers together. This rootstock's going to be shooting energy up as it starts to grow, and this is going to be looking for that. So we're going to do a matching cut on this. I'll come in from this side to leave that bud there probably on this nice straight chunk. And then I will do a little tongue cut, which will be just angled back in, and it'll kind of lock the two together. And I'll show you that here shortly after I get this other cut done. I'm putting it in water while I'm not working on it just to keep everything wet. I'm going to get an idea where I need to start this cut. So I know I need to start about at the bud and go about that long. And in the process of that, I'm going to be cutting off this dead dry wood. So we'll see. And that bud rootstock has really red wood. Makes it easy to identify. My first few grafts, I left the tip of this cut too thick, and it just didn't make the joint all that tight, and so it's kind of loose. So I've learned from that, and I'm trying to make them, not paper thin, but thinner, pointy. You can see this cut is a little longer on the rootstock than on the scion wood. See that the cut's a little longer, but I'm not all that intimidated now by. I don't think these things are all that picky. You don't want to see a whole bunch of air in between your two pieces when you're done matching them up. You want them to be as tightly fitting as possible. It's going to be tough demonstrating this, but you go about, I don't know, a third of the way down your face cut here, and just rock the knife. You got to have a nice sharp knife. And if you get in too far, it'll just start splitting the wood. So you get down, I don't know, on this thin stuff, seems like 3/8 of an inch or something. So you can kind of see that tongue in there. Those two are going to join up here after I get the one done on this one here. This is a good way to cut myself, but for the sake of showing you how I do it. And we'll get down. I'm not putting hardly any pressure on my knife. Just rocking it, letting it go in. And I think that'll match up all right with that other one. This is not going to be a perfect match, I can tell, just because my scion is so small and the rootstock was a little bigger. So, see if I can show it. Two tongues will just slide in together, just like that. And there's a little exposed wood down here. That'll heal over on its own. But you can see the two green cambium layers there matching up there really nice on the tongue, and that's the important part. So this is kind of plug and play as you go. You have to find your pieces and match them all up and use what you have. It's not ideal. You're not going to be able to just put every piece of wood on every rootstock, because with this specific graft, you could do some different types of grafts and maybe make it work. But just trying to be quick and do a bunch of grafts, this is the way to go. And anyway, we'll do a tight wrap on that. This wood, I believe will callus over, even though this cut doesn't go all the way down. That's fine. This one goes a little high, but once I wrap that, that's going to be tight, and everything should heal up. I'm going to wrap this now in parafilm, also called grafting tape, I believe. I'm going to wrap it nice and tight, so I'll show you that. Start below the graft union and get a good wrap or two down there, and then just work your way up over the graft. And try to make sure you pull that grafting tape tight so it stretches, so you get a little extra pressure on your graft union. Hold things tightly in place and kind of suck them together as best you can. And I'll go up to the top, up on top of the scion, and then come back down. And the grafting tape, I've heard, should stay on until about July. This should start callousing within a couple weeks, depending on your temperatures. Like I put some out in the greenhouse when it's 90 degrees, nice and warm in the greenhouse, 80, 90 degrees, and they calloused up in a couple days. But I'm trying to delay these a little bit so I can plant them outside. So that's why I am leaving them in the garage in cool weather, to get the callus to form and not get the buds to open up and start trying to grow. And so then they can just go outside and get planted straight into the orchard where I'm planning on putting them. And then the second to last step here, I guess, is I count my buds that I got. So I'm going to go with cutting right above. You can go with 2 or 3 buds. Some guys will go with 1 vegetative bud per graft, but I'd rather play it safe and have at least 2 or 3. So this, like you can see, this bud here is, I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not, but it's definitely doesn't look healthy. And we got a healthy bud there. So I'm going to cut it right above this one, I guess. So I got a bud there and a bud there, and I think I have another bud down here. Yeah, I do. So I got three buds on that. And I have another one that I can graft onto something if I can find something to take this tiny little chunk of wood. Which going on like an existing tree would probably be a lot easier because I could do a little bark graft really easy and just sneak it in there on a tree, on an established tree really easily. But like trying to do a whip and tongue graft on a lot of the rootstock I got, it's going to be kind of a pain in the butt. So we'll see what I'm going to do with that. So right now it's April, second week of April. It's 70 something degrees outside. It's really hot and unseasonably. So, and we're supposed to possibly get some snow here this week. And, you know, here in Montana, we get snow in through May most years. And so I'm trying not to get these little guys stuck out in the orchard space and then have it get really cold. And, you know, stick them out there now, they might start growing and then get really cold and shock them and kill them. I read somewhere where someone said they had planted some out and they got 22 degrees a couple nights in a row and killed their grafts. So I'm trying to avoid that best I can. So what I'm doing is I am putting them in these big pots with some potting mix. And I've heard other people using a lot of different mediums, like sawdust and stuff like that, just to keep the roots alive. But potting mix was easy for me to find. I have, you know, use a lot of it this time of year. So that's why I use that. And I'm hoping that it's not going to come back to bite me. That was keepsake. The scion, so the fruit was from a keepsake apple tree. And the rootstock was bud 9. So I write both so I can keep track of what the trees should turn out like. I got in a hurry and I wanted to get some trees grafted earlier this spring. And I saw a bunch of people use different things for coating their scions. You do it to keep the wood from drying out. You can see this really nice green exposed wood right now. We need to coat that with something to keep it from drying out. And I've heard a lot of people use different things like Elmer's glue. Beeswax is a common substance in a lot of the stuff that, like this is Doc Farwell's grafting seal. And I think there's a lot of beeswax in it, but it kind of smells just like glue. So I just cover a lot of the scion. I don't get too religious about like painting the whole thing. The buds will blow through this, no problem. When I got in a rush earlier this spring, I wanted to get some stuff grafted, and I just used straight beeswax and melted it and let it cool off a little bit to where it wasn't boiling, and then put it on top, and that worked great. The leaves blew right through that. So there's a lot of different things you could use to do this, and I hope people are as excited about growing fruit as I am. So this is a big experiment for us, and so far it seems to be working out, and I can't tell you how excited I am about it to be able to pick and choose my own fruit trees. I've been really wanting to grow my own apple trees for a long time now, and have more control over the process. And I hope this might inspire someone else to take control of your own orchard and graft something that you know all the parts to, because that might make a difference. I'm hoping it'll save you a lot of money and hopefully get you some better varieties and better rootstock combinations for your area if you do a little research on your own. I wish people would realize that grafting your own fruit trees is about as easy as planting your own tomato seeds in the spring, and it shouldn't be as intimidating as people think it is. It doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. All my grafts are taken out there. We'll see how healthy they are, and I'm going to plant them out in the orchard space. So please like and subscribe if you want to see how things are coming along. I'll keep you updated on the apple trees and processes of getting them going and maintaining them.